too. Hey guys, welcome back to the Alternatives Podcast. So glad that you're with us. We are back for another episode of season 2. And today we are talking about changing and postponing your wedding because of COVID-19. I know this is something that a lot of our listeners are having to walk through and make this decision right now, and it's hard to walk through. But I'm really excited because we have some special guests today. We have Ryan Lunde and Juliana Robinson. Can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things about myself. I am 24 years old, and I am a violin and art instructor at a music academy in Vista. I love anything outdoors. So I love rock climbing, I love jujitsu, I love backpacking, anything that just moves your body and is active and is outdoors. I just love it. I love thrift store shopping and napping, eating. I love spending time with family. I love Jesus. And last of all, I love this handsome hunk right next to me.
Yeah, I'm Ryan, and I am the young adults pastor at Emmanuel Faith in Escondido. I've been down here for about 2 years now. So before that, I was doing ministry up in Orange County. A couple things about myself, similar to what she said. We're both really into the outdoors. Love backpacking, love rock climbing. Still trying to get good at surfing. I think both of us had a conversation recently that we want to pick it back up. So yeah, just a little bit about us. We love Jesus, and we love being active. So
okay, but the key question: do you love thrift store shopping too? That's a must. We'll work on that.
Question.
Well, you've asked the right person. Juliana loves what was formerly known as AmVets, currently known as Valley Thrift.
Valley Thrift Store. I think I've taken him there twice, but I don't think it's his number one shopping spot.
Yeah, no, there's an art to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have a number one shopping spot. I really don't.
Yeah.
Probably Amazon.
Juliana, what's your best thrift store finds?
Oh, honestly, the pair of Birkenstocks that I'm wearing right now, I got them for $1.95. And normally they like retail at like $70-$80. So I literally got like pretty much 100% discount, like a 99% discount. It was just incredible.
Yeah.
So that's one of my best finds for sure. And I wear them every day.
Yeah. It's great. It's fun stuff. Okay. So how did you meet? And then how long have you been dating?
Yeah, so we first met, it would have been the fall of 2017, so 2.5 years ago or so. And I was in a Mediterranean food restaurant in San Marcos, and
this gorgeous, stunning woman walked in.
As she did. And right behind her, Juliana came in. No, I'm just kidding. No, so then Juliana comes in, and she knows the guy that I'm sitting with. And so then she came up to her table, started a conversation. And so I was already in a relationship at that point, so it wasn't like a thing I was going to act on. But I was like, you know what? She's really cool. She's really cute. So she landed a good first impression. And then we met again.
So then, I left the Mediterranean food restaurant, and then we met again like about 9 months later at the church.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. So then by that point, I was out of that previous relationship, and
he was single and ready to mingle.
I made a move, and then she turned me down. And then another 5 months later, she came back around. She boomeranged. So it was, man, the best surprise of 2019. Juliana Robinson hit me up.
Wow.
And then we've officially been dating for a year and 1 month and 17 days.
Wow.
But who's counting?
I don't normally do this, but I was like, for the podcast, I'm going to look really impressive and get it by the day, and everyone's going to think I'm like really impressive. So I don't actually keep track.
I mean, I knew that too. And I didn't need to prepare, but sure. I let her have that. So
that glory moment.
Yeah.
Wow, that's neat. That's great. How has this season changed your plans to get married, and how are you moving forward on this? Like, congratulations. When we were talking about doing this, she's like, what about Juliana and Ryan? I said, why? I didn't even know. So congratulations on all this.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you want to go for it?
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing it's changed for us is kind of our engagement plans. We were kind of planning on dating for a year and then getting engaged, so that would have been back in April. Then COVID hit, and turns out ring shops are not an essential business. So that kind of shook up our plans as far as like when we get engaged, which also inevitably shakes up our plans on when we're going to get married. So it kind of was like a stepping stone to the wedding day that kind of got shook up. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked, I think early on, that a year was kind of our timeline for dating. With the whole COVID situation, it's, kind of put a wrench in our plans in terms of finding, available ring shops. It's kind of one of those things that you have to ask yourself, what kind of moment do you want, when you propose, when you get, when you take the knee. And so, yeah, that's been a wrench for our timeline. But we're still looking at 2020 as a end date for when we get married. So that's our, the timeline's gotten shaken up a little bit, but really not that much. So.
Okay. All right. So you're still looking at 2020 getting married sometime between, you got 6 months, dude. June 1st is Monday. So
Oh, I know, man.
just saying. No pressure.
No. Don't blow my cover now.
My son's getting married on Friday, so I'm all about pushing.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's awesome.
What would you tell someone that is struggling with the idea of changing their wedding plans? This is huge. Having kids in this season, watching this, worlds are changing. The world changes as far as a wedding, something that a young woman dreams of and how it's going to be. And now it's like, cut out all the fluff. What do we really need for this to take place? So what would you tell those people? Because there's a lot of struggle out there, particularly in this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the biggest things is just allow us time to grow together, because marriage is going to be filled with so many curveballs. And so this is almost kind of like a head start curveball before even marriage that you guys get to deal with together. And just knowing that it's a beautiful opportunity to honestly just surrender your plans to God and let Him have the steering wheel of your life, because I think it's so easy, especially when it comes to brides. They want to have every single thing in control. They want this date, they want this venue, they want this food, and it's like all of that gets shaken up, and we no longer have that control, and it's very easy to get excessively anxious and worried and all this stuff. But it's a beautiful opportunity to let it kind of like quiet our hearts, surrender that to God. And oftentimes, like delays and detours, they are just a wonderful way that develops our faith. Like it grows us stronger. We have to even dig deeper into our relationship with God to get through it. So that would be kind of my biggest tip, is just to really allow this time to just grow your faith, grow your character, grow closer with the person that you're with before marriage.
Mm-hmm. You can see where it's a trial. There's an adversity here. So exactly what you're saying, Giuliana, that you see this before you're married, because you're navigating this together, and a squashed hope, if you will, but yet what is still real and permanent through this whole thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ryan, did you have something to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just with timelines, you're gonna have to ask. I mean, I think so. Having really never thought about what my wedding would look like before, I don't have any preconceived notions of what I want my wedding to look like.
Such a guy.
And so the only thing is, I do know that I want family involved. I know that I want certain people there. And so you have to ask, I think, the question of what it is that you really value in that ceremony, and whether or not that's still possible in a more modest sort of ceremony. We have we have several friends getting married actually this month, and some of them are observing a more strict cap on their crowds. One wedding is 10 people. And the only reason that we're still going is because I'm actually officiating it. That's the only reason we're going. The other one is, I think, 50 people?
Yeah, but they had to move it to their backyard. So it's really just a time of flexibility, and you have to be flexible in order to get through it.
So I think it's just, you have to ask the question, what is important to you on that day? Is there specific things that you are looking for? And if so, I think just have that candid conversation with your significant other. If not, then what are you waiting for is kind of my my perspective.
And we see a lot of people waiting, and no judgment, but they're pushing it off to 2021 or later because of that big thing. And I think that's true. You have to really ask yourself as individually and as a couple, and hopefully those two answers are the same, at least for the major points, you know, that you work through. And I think that's the blessing. You know, you talked about where's God in all this early on, Juliana, and I think that's so important. Like what is going to honor the Lord through this? Should you be a believer listening to this, that's obviously the greatest value that you're going to have as you take this vow in marriage. So yeah.
And I think also just in light of that too, I would just say, if I think especially for the women out there that are looking to get married, I think it's really important for guys to be really sensitive to what their future brides want, and prioritize that, be the bigger man, and really say, okay, what's important for you on this day? Just because I know that for Giuliana, there's a lot more that she's invested in terms of what she wants that moment to look like.
Sure.
And those things are valuable. Those things are valuable for creating a memory. I don't think it's cheap whatsoever.
No.
But you do have to ask the question. What's essential?
Right. Right. That word comes up everywhere now.
Essential work.
Yeah.
So with people, it kind of seems like they have two options right now. It's have a smaller wedding now, or wait and have a bigger wedding later. And I know this can be hard because some people have big families, or they just have a lot of people around them. And so they're just having a hard time making this choice. How does somebody know what that right choice is for them?
I think for sure there's a lot of considerations to take in mind when answering this question. I think one of the biggest things to look at is your finances. What are your finances like? Can you even afford to have a big wedding at this time? And if not, I would say, have a small wedding with your closest loved ones, and then have a big reception later on in the year. Which I know multiple people are doing. Some people are eloping, and then they're having a big reception later on to celebrate. But this is like the one time in all of eternity that you can have a teeny tiny wedding and not offend a single person.
Right.
Because everyone's going to, I feel like everyone gets salty about weddings, like, oh, I didn't get an invite. Well, no, everyone's going to understand if they don't get an invite because it's legality reasons. Like, I invite you because it's illegal pretty much. And so this is the opportunity to have a teeny wedding with your close, maybe just family, and then a best friend and for each, the bride and the groom. And then, have a big celebration later. It's totally an option that people will understand. And it's very financially friendly. But then again, like if it's something that you just want, like your entire life, you've dreamed of having a big wedding with everyone there, then maybe just wait until later on in the year. When we can have bigger gatherings, you can save up for it and that kind of thing. So it just kind of depends where you're at in that situation.
Yeah, I think in addition to that too, it's asking where are you at with this lockdown, right? I think this is also a question of whether or not you are, as a couple, able to navigate the unique temptations of the lockdown right now. in a way that I think you just have to call a spade a spade. I mean, we spent a lot more alone time, and with that comes tons of temptation. So I think there has to be a really candid conversation about what's realistic.
Sure.
I think that's where you can apply what Paul says in Corinthians, don't neglect in coming together. It'd be so much better for you to kind of expedite your timeline if you need to do that. But that's got to be a both person decision. That can't be one party saying, hey, I really need sex, right? That's got to be both people saying, you know what, we're calling a spade, and there's no harm, there's no foul in that. But I think that's another thing to consider. But again, it just comes down to what's essential for that day, what's going to be important for you. Are you going to look back and regret the fact that you did or didn't wait? And I think you're going to know the answer to that question. I think everyone is going to, hopefully you're able to just know that answer a little bit more upfront, because hopefully it's your wedding and not someone else's through you, So I think those are some other things to consider.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I know this wasn't in our list of questions, but I wanted to ask you guys, so for our listeners that have chosen to wait until marriage to have sex and they want to stay away from temptation, do you guys have any practical tips for our listeners that are trying to stay out of that?
Take it away, baby.
I would say one of the biggest things is you got to have people that are going to get in your face about it, especially as a guy. Even when I don't necessarily seek it out, I have people that will say, hey, so are you keeping it in your pants right now? Are you actually, walking with the Lord in your relationship? I think you have to have those relationships. And I think you have to give trusted brothers in your life that freedom, older and the same age. I'm really blessed to have a lot of older married men that look out for me. And we do spend a lot of alone time together. But we usually are alone in places where it's a little bit more public. I have a roommate, he's in and out of the house, makes it difficult to escalate things to the point. It's still possible, but I think just looking at it realistically, don't put yourself in a really impossible situation. Yeah, it's difficult, but I would really say, I think the importance of having people that are going to get in your face about it. So I think it really just comes down to that.
Sorry, go on.
Go on.
I think too, we did a podcast, I don't know how it's going to air, on non-negotiables, and we kind of brought this in as far as dating and different things. And I think that the idea of setting the boundary beforehand, and yeah, I get it. It can, the temptation is real, but just knowing in your hearts and minds what you've both set before this, and take a breather. I don't know, code word whatever, I don't know, but just knowing that, hey, let's go do something else right now, or go for a walk, or so those things that are set up ahead of time versus, I don't know what's going to happen, with COVID, social distancing and lockdown are two different things. And what can happen in a lockdown, we know there'll probably be a lot of babies coming up in the end of the year, early 2021. Just that's how that happens, and so how to prepare that ahead of time is wisdom. And for both sides, you say you have men in your life, I'm sure she has women that are pouring into her too, because it takes two. So, right? Gosh, I sound like a mother, sorry.
No, it's all good. I think mentors, finding mentors that you trust, older married couples that have walked through it before you, is so, so important. And I would recommend that for any couple that is just dating, that's been dating for a year, that's engaged, even married. You can always have a mentor in your life that has walked through all the things that you're about to walk through. And I think that is so important.
That's good. I love that. And for our listeners that have heard this idea of like waiting until marriage, but like isn't like sure about it. And like this is a great example of like a super solid couple. They are super fun. And they made this choice. And it's not like you're not weird if you decide to make this choice. You're not weird if you decide to wait. Like it's a good thing. And like these two have that conviction. And I just love the example that you guys are setting with that. And also you guys have talked about this idea of kind of like taking care of your relationship and taking care of each other right now. And I think part of that looks like preparing for what's next and like preparing for your future marriage. Do you guys like have any ideas, anything you want to tell our listeners about how you can prepare for your marriage in this season?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say just especially in these times, continue to get to know each other. This is a beautiful opportunity for that. Because it's like our schedules have kind of gone on pause, you know, we have so much more free time to do that. Continue dating, continue going on adventures. Like, I feel like it's so easy to try to rush the dating process to get to the next step, which is engagement, and rush that to get to marriage. But I think dating is so beautiful, and there's so much you can benefit from it. So just continue it, you know, and enjoy the moment. And again, kind of what I said in the previous question, find a married couple that you admire, someone that you are like, that relationship honors God. That is a relationship I would love to emulate, and hit them up. Be like, hey, can we go on a double date with you? Ask them questions, get to know, you know, what they've done, what marriage advice they have for you. Because again, they've walked this exact same path that you're about to go down, and just glean wisdom from them.
That's great. That's great. What final word would you have for our listeners during this wedding season? Is there anything that we haven't covered or something that you would want to add to this?
Yeah, I really think if you can take this time as a couple to, as Juliana said, spend some quality alone time together. And if you find that to be a really restful thing, I think you're doing it right. I think you're doing this lockdown right. If you're finding that if you're not able to sit in that tension, I think there's going to be some trouble down the road for you. So really take this time to, I think, assess the quality of your connection, and have a conversation. This is not supposed to be a thing where you're perfect right at the beginning. And that's the thing that I continue to run up against. I mean, I want to have a perfect relationship without any hiccups, right? I don't want to have to admit the fact that there's things that I have to overcome and grow from. I don't want to have those awkward moments. I don't want to do, but that's the reality, is you have to sign on for that. And so have that conversation with your significant other. But I would really say, like, when you're spending time alone, really assess what your heart, you know, is your heart at rest regardless of the timetable. Because I think if it is, I think that's a really good sign, regardless of whether or not you're waiting to get married more officially, I guess, for lack of a better word, or elope. So I think that's really, I think, the main thing to take advantage of in this lockdown. That's me. I don't know.
And do you, Juliana, have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely just say, again, use this time as an opportunity, not as like a setback, because it all depends on our perspective, you know, how we think of it. And again, we can look at this as, you know, the terrible coronavirus that ruined our lives, or we can look at it as something that's like, wow, we actually have this opportunity to really dig deep into our heart issues, because a lot of that comes out when our plans get blown up, you know. And really allow it to be a time to grow, to heal, to understand the other person's you know, how they respond in times of crisis and how you respond in times of crisis. Because again, like, I've never been married, but I know marriage is full of curveballs. There's always going to be things that blow up, and to get to learn this about your partner before you're even married is a huge blessing in a way. Because again, you get to learn how to navigate through those times.
Sure. I think what you guys said, it's wonderful, because we're hearing, you know, relationships, divorce rate, this and that. And for many of us married or newly married or soon to be married, it is a sweet time, because it's this time that you've always wanted, but you're working here, he's working there. No one has this time to be together and learn and grow together. So what you said, Ryan, is a really interesting thing, because some of our marriages are flourishing even greater as a result of this. But with that, there are hiccups. I have another question to ask you both about overcoming, but I think that, what you said, I want to have a perfect relationship. I don't want that. You said something about having kind of like a tough thing, and you don't want to go through that. And those tough moments are what make the marriage beautiful. And it's never ending. I mean, after being married to the same guy for 33 years and dating him 5 years before, most of my life has been with this man. And it's an ever changing life with him. And those vulnerable, tough moments, to see when one falls and the other picks the other one up, or we both fall and go, what are we doing? That's the wonderful part of marriage. Yeah, there's great, joyful moments, but sometimes in those dark, tough times, that's where you go, wow, I want this with no one else but you. So that's to overcome that and to see that over and over again. And also, what you're falling in love with now at 50, you might go, wow, I don't know about like what things change, and the things that you didn't like back then, you're totally fall in love with now. It's like this, it reminds me of God's word that it's always living. Well, this marriage is always living. It's like, well, I didn't know that about you. When did that happen? When did that occur? So it's awesome. Enough of that. What recent challenge have you both overcome?
So we were having this conversation we were comparing notes just before the podcast, and we were having a hard time actually coming up with a specific challenge in this lockdown. I think just maybe speaking firsthand about, I think Juliana, contrary to, I think, how she's able to be so charismatic, she's actually introverted. She's more of an introvert. I'm much more of an extrovert. And so for me, it's been a huge challenge to accept the fact that there's a whole lot that I can't do. I have had the temptation of allowing that to drive me to isolation, to not depression, but just kind of like a depressive state of mind. And so that has kind of been a challenge for us, and for me specifically. Juliana has been super great in being a huge breath of fresh air every single day.
I personally, I am riding the waves of coronavirus and enjoying every single bit of free time and alone time with this, because I'm not obligated to see anybody anymore. So I'm like, oh man, I can do all my projects at home. I can, do so much reading, all this stuff. But again, he's the extrovert in the relationship. So there'll be days where he'll be like, this is the worst day of my life. And then there'll be other days where he's like, no, I got this. Like, this is good. This is good.
I know. It's, so, it's like I either call her up when she's coming from work and being like, babe, today sucked. Like, I'm ranting to her and I'm like, it might not even be a bad thing, but the way that I pose it is just like doomsday, right? And then the next day I'm like bragging to her about everything that I did. And she's so graciously listening to both, So, I mean, there's been a couple of things, I think, communication-wise. I mean, I think we're still figuring out the things to avoid in an argument or potential arguments. And I think that's, again, similar to what Juliana said earlier. It's, I think, take the opportunity to really sit with the things that bubbled at the surface. So I think we both are just people that enjoy the good times so much that we don't want to be the downer, I think, if I were to say it that way. And so that's a pitfall to be able to navigate.
Sure. That's huge. That's huge. That would be another great podcast, Hannah, because it's true. This time is an introvert's dream. For those of us that are extroverts, not so much always. And I get the highs and the lows and yeah. So yeah, at first I thought maybe I am an introvert for like the first 3 days because I like this, but
I know that Tammy, that was my experience as well, where I mean, being in ministry, people are, you could say, my job. And so then I'm like, oh, great. Like, I've been super busy for the past, I can't even tell you how long, where I feel like I haven't had any control over my life at certain sections of my, and I'm sure you also would resonate probably more than I would in that running AMC, but now it's like that lasted for probably about 2 weeks. And then I'm back to, oh, I cannot wait for this to be over. So that's kind of been, I feel you on that for sure. Whereas Juliana is like, lives on Valley Center, you know, she's in nature, she's with her chickens, her pig, she's with her,
I am living the life.
She is living the best life now, for sure. So there's, and I mean, it's also challenging just in terms of work. We've both had work issues, I think, come up. And so just difficult to navigate that for both of us. I mean, not just me, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something to overcome as a couple and to be able to bounce back and forth with that. I think having somebody be able to respectfully acknowledge, like what you're saying, Juliana is acknowledging those feelings and has a place for them, which she knows how to, versus coming back and going, what are you doing? This is all new for all of us. So I say, way to go, you two. Awesome. Check. Good job.
Thank you so much.
So how can our listeners get in contact with you, connect with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to us on Instagram at RN Lunde, R as in Ryan, N as in no, Lunde, Lunde, and then
yeah, they can also reach out to me on Instagram, slide into the DMs, ask any questions.
Don't slide into those DMs. Don't slide into those DMs. She doesn't know what that means.
But yeah, just reach out, ask any questions, and I'd be at Giuliana Robinson 7. So Juliana with one N and then Robinson and then the number 7.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys. I know when we were talking about this, Tammy and I, in this episode and who we wanted to have on it, we were like, man, who would be people that would be able to speak into this in a way that is like uplifting and speaks life into this, because it is a really hard thing. And I'm really grateful for the way that you guys were able to speak into this. So thank you guys, and thank you for coming on and just sharing your story with us. And for our listeners, thank you guys for listening again and tuning in today. If you could leave us a rating and review, letting us know what was helpful, that would be actually really helpful for us, so we know what kind of stuff to keep on sharing, what kind of stuff you want to hear about. And then also, if you could take a screenshot of where you're watching the episode and post it on Instagram and tag us at AlternativesMC, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.